Hello everyone. So this is Rochelle, the secretary from FRO, and in today's video we will be teaching you how to navigate Adobe Photoshop and some tips and techniques you could use for your mood boards. So I'm going to pull up an old mood board that I've worked on. And this mood board was just something that I've done for like the fashion show in the past. And I wanted to go for something avant-garde. So all the pictures are showing like geometric shapes and ruffles because that was the type of look that I was going for. And as you can see, some images have like stylistic editing done to them, and they don't have like a background, and I've placed the images in a way that certain images are the focal point of the mood board. So I will teach you guys how to do that. Alright, so I'm going to teach you guys how to create a new document. Essentially what you're going to do is name your document. So I named it Halloween Mood Board FRO. And I'm going to make sure that the settings are on inches so that I know it's 8.5 by 11 for when I print out my mood board, just as like reference. And then I'm going to click a color for my background. Now you can click other and select a specific color, like red or pink or blue, but I'm just going to stick with black for this presentation. Alright, so now we have our mood board. So you can either drag your photo in based on like the type of desktop you have, or you can select File and place Embedded and select an image from there. So I'm just showing you just two techniques you can. In this section, we're going to show you how to minimize and maximize. So you're going to make sure that you have the image selected and that you have Show Transform Controls selected, just because if you don't have it selected, you can't actually like get those square borders in the corners to allow you to minimize and maximize the image. So you can either like make it smaller or bigger based on what you would like, and just align it to your page. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is teach you guys how to remove the background. Like, yes, it's a black background, but I don't like the orange speckles in the background. So what I'm going to do is teach you guys a method on how to remove the background from the image so that you can have a clean image. So you're going to select the quick selection tool and select subject. Now what that's going to do is highlight the part of that isn't part of the background, and then I'm going to go ahead and sort of like remove that black in the middle that wasn't caught by the select subject option. And so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to select and mask, and you see how the background disappeared? That's due to the fact that the background is no longer there because it's transparent. So you want that to be 100% transparent if you don't want that background to show up. And just to refine the image a bit, because I know it can be a bit messy and choppy, you can use smooth and feathered just to make it look cleaner, the edges cleaner. And I play around with it a little bit just to like adjust it. And then there you have it. So I select layer mask and it's all complete. You have your layer without that excessive background. Alright, so we have a new image. Are you afraid of the dark image that we're placing? And we're going to do the same thing, except that in this specific picture, we're going to remove text at the bottom that tells us the website. So we're going to click the quick selection tool again, select subject, but this time we want all the background, just not the text at that bottom left corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that part, making sure that I don't remove the features that I don't want to remove from the picture. Select and mask, We're going to do the same transparency thing. Obviously, this is against a black background, so no one's going to notice. But we get to remove that text so that it looks more professional and clean. And then obviously we're doing the feather and smooth tool again because that really helps clean up the edges and refine them. Then select layer mask, and then you're good to go. You have your image cleaned up with that, no longer with that text on the bottom left corner. In this section, I'm going to teach you how to color images. So I have this image from Hocus Pocus, and I'm just going to show you a little trick. In mood, you can actually change the mood to grayscale and make the whole mood board change color. But for a specific image, you can click adjustments and then click hue or saturation. In this case, I'm going to show you guys how you can make that image specifically black and white if that is what you want stylistically, rather than the whole mood board black and white. And you can adjust the brightness in that aspect, but adjustments, hue and saturation. And I'm going to try to make this picture a bit orange just to match the orange vibes that this mood board is giving. Ultimately, you might come up with images from Pinterest or other images on Google and come up with a color story on your own, or sometimes along the way, you sort of figure out a color story that works better for you. So I am just making some edits, making sure that it looks like it looks pretty natural, but still orange enough to match the theme of the mood board. And all these options are just some options that you can play around with. What I really like is using, brightness just to like brighten up the image a bit. But color balance really helps in the sense that it makes it look more natural and not too out of balance. Now, whenever you're minimizing and maximizing, that image of that edited image kind of disappears, but it's still there. Don't worry about that. Minimizing and maximizing just kind of makes the original image pop up whenever you're trying to edit it. But yeah, I got that aligned. And I believe what I'm going to do next is arrange and bring this image to the front just so that it looks very cohesive. And obviously with that image not having a background, I can actually have it in front of another image and it looks stylistically, separate from that image. And then I also aligned the other picture in front just because I feel like this is one of those images that you can put behind images without it being too chaotic. I'm also going to change the Are You Afraid of the Dark image to look more orange and brighter because I feel like the image itself is dull. So again, hue and saturation and just brightening it. You can also use the brightness tool to brighten it. It's really up to you. Any of these tools will help you achieve what you want. And now I'm going to teach you guys how to outline an image. Essentially, I have an image here that I want to put an outline along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rasterize the image and select Smart Objects. That essentially makes the image now a smart object that you can actually edit. And this helps with, adding like outlines. So I click stroke and select the type of pixel I want and the color. And I'm just playing around with this just to give you guys an idea, but there you have it. So you need to rasterize it in order for it to be an editable object. Just like a regular image is not going to be that easy to edit, so just always make sure to rasterize if you're going to put an outline or some sort of like style for that. And now I'm going to teach you guys how to add and edit text. So there's that text option on your side panel. And I'm just going to type in Happy Halloween. You guys probably can't see it well because of how small it is, but. And then what I'm going to do is increase the size, obviously using the transform control, so always have that on. And then you have the options to change the font, as well as the text size, just different sort of options that can make your text look more vibrant. This is totally optional. You don't really need to add a text or a title to a mood board, but I just found that this was a great technique to teach you guys. And so I'm gonna increase it, and now you see I've used a different font. I'm also gonna click that text button again because that pops up all of that, all of those features that I can use to edit the text. And I'm gonna change the color because it's really hard to notice it. So I tried doing gray, but I honestly felt like doing a really light gray to the white extreme would be perfect for this, so that it still gives you those Halloween vibes. I also made the font sort of crisp, which is sort of like a bold feature that you can make. And now I am going to use the warp tool to try to make an arc, just to, give it, some style, some uniqueness, because I want it to pop up and still be a focal point on the mood board, without it taking too much attention away from the rest of what I'm doing. And all right, now we're gonna show you how to edit and add shapes. This is sort of like a bonus option, but adding shapes is really easy. You click that rectangle tool and you can decide on what shape you want. And then you can drag one and create a shape. What I'm gonna do is also show you guys how to edit the shape. And so once I align it, I'm gonna go ahead and sort of bring it behind so that the images are like behind that, like sort of like a border, I guess, with the shapes is what I was going for. And then what I'm gonna do next is move everything around just to make sure that the shape that I copied and pasted, I can move and rotate so that I can also place it up top vertically. And just to make my life easier, sometimes I just put in 90 degrees just so that it's, perpendicular and straight up. And when I put the image back, it kind of looks like a border in the background. So that's kind of the look I was going for. And this is just more stylistic stuff. This is completely optional again. Whenever you're making your mood boards, it's fully to your discretion, however many tools or techniques you want to use. I'm going to click the shape feature again. And now I'm going to change the fill color to something more lighter. And I also changed the stroke, but you probably weren't able to notice that. So in the second shape, I just changed the stroke to match the first shape so that there's a bit of a border for the shapes. Even though they're sort of serving as, a stylistic choice for the background, I really wanted it to look very defined and sort of like 3D popping out. And then I am going to go ahead and save the project once I'm happy with how it's lined up. It's important to save the project in case you want to make alterations to the project. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to export it because I want this to be an image that I can print out so that it doesn't move around while I'm previewing it. You can do a quick export as PNG, but I'm just showing you the export dialog box so that you can decide if you want to export it as a JPEG. I'm just going to export it as PNG and then save it to my PC. And all right, we have the finished image. And I hope you guys found this video very helpful. This was to serve as an instructional and teach you tips and techniques, or reteach you tips and techniques that you may have already learned, just to make it much easier to navigate Photoshop.
Dancing. Love that is not that romantic.